Welcome back, deep divers. Today we're going way back to ancient Greece. We're talking Aristotle.
Ah, Aristotle. One of the heavy hitters of philosophy.
Yeah, his ideas still matter even today, like thousands of years later. We're going to try to figure out what he had to say about happiness.
Living a good life.
Yeah, the good life. Friendship, too.
All the big stuff.
Yeah, all the important stuff. So, before we get into all that, who was this guy?
Well, he was born way back in 384 BC.
Okay, ancient Greece. I got it.
Yeah, picture it, ancient Greece. His dad was a physician, so I guess you could say learning was in his blood.
So he was surrounded by, knowledge from the beginning.
Oh, yeah. And get this, he ended up studying with Plato.
Plato.
And, of course, Plato was a student of Socrates.
Wow. That's like the all-star team of philosophers.
Talk about an intellectual family tree.
Seriously. So Aristotle was at Plato's academy for 20 years.
Yeah, first as a student, obviously.
Right.
But then he started teaching there, too.
Oh, wow.
Later, he went on to found his own school.
Which was called
The Lyceum.
the Lyceum. Got it.
He was a busy guy. He wrote about all sorts of things.
Like what? Give me the rundown.
Okay, logic, science, politics, ethics.
That's a lot. A true Renaissance man.
Oh, yeah, you said it. But, not all his scientific theories were, well,
Accurate.
yeah, shall we say.
Like what?
For example, he thought mice just kind of popped out of piles of grains.
Spontaneous generation.
Exactly, but hey, nobody's perfect.
Right. Everyone makes mistakes.
What really matters is his philosophical ideas.
Yeah, his thoughts on what it means to be human.
And how to live a good life.
That's what we're really interested in. So how did he think about those big questions?
Well, it all starts with this idea of telos.
Telos.
It's like this. Think of an acorn.
Okay, the acorn.
It has the potential to grow into a big oak tree.
Right.
That
Yeah.
potential, that's its telos, its purpose.
Like a built-in blueprint.
Exactly. Aristotle believed that everything in nature has a telos.
Humans too?
Especially humans. Plants grow. Humans? Well, we do more than just grow.
Yeah, we eat, sleep, basic stuff.
Yeah.
Animals do that too, though.
Right. So what makes humans different?
What did Aristotle think set us apart?
He said it's logos, our ability to reason and use language.
So not just making noises.
No, it's about understanding ideas.
Forming arguments.
Building knowledge. It's what lets us do this very podcast even.
Right. Having this deep dive.
Logos was key for Aristotle.
He thought it was how we reach our full potential.
And live a fulfilling life.
But wait, don't we need more than just thinking?
Like what?
Like, we're social creatures, right? We need connection. Did Aristotle have anything to say about that?
Oh, absolutely. He actually thought humans are naturally social.
We can't just be lone wolves.
Exactly. He thought we need community to truly thrive.
And that connects back to logos, doesn't it?
How so?
Logos helps us build communities. It lets us make laws, set up governments, decide what's right and wrong.
It's not just about survival. It's about flourishing together.
Exactly. So I guess that brings us to
Happiness.
happiness, the big one. I bet Aristotle had some thoughts on that.
Oh, he did, but he didn't think it was just about winning the lottery or anything like that.
I figured. So what was his take?
He called it eudaimonia. It's more like a state of living well, of using your reason to its fullest, not just fleeting pleasure.
Interesting. It's more than just a feeling then.
Right. It's about pursuing knowledge, being virtuous.
And fully engaging with the world.
Yeah, like we're doing right now, in a way. So we've been talking about eudaimonia, right?
Living a fulfilling life.
Yeah, living in harmony with our nature, all of that good stuff. But where does friendship fit into all of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we all like having friends, but did Aristotle think it was essential for a good life?
He really did. I mean, he really did. He actually said that no one would choose to live without friends.
Wow. Even if they had everything else.
Even if they had everything else.
That's a pretty strong statement. He must have thought friendship was super important.
Oh, absolutely. For him, it wasn't just about, hanging out or having fun.
Right.
It was a key part of living a virtuous and fulfilling life. Remember, logos.
Our ability to reason.
Right. Aristotle thought that real friendship helps us use our logos better.
So, friends help us think more clearly.
Yeah. They challenge our ideas.
Help us see things from different angles.
They give us honest feedback. Help us grow intellectually.
Okay, I get that. But friends are also there for us emotionally, right?
Of course, Aristotle recognized that too.
They support us when things are tough.
They celebrate our wins with us.
And he thought those things were important too.
Absolutely. He said, true friends share in our joys and sorrows. They help us get through the ups and downs of life.
So it seems like he had a pretty complex view of friendship. There are different kinds of friends, right?
He actually identified three types: friendships of utility, friendships of pleasure, and friendships of virtue.
Three types, huh? Okay, let's break those down. What are friendships of utility?
Those are the practical ones.
Practical?
Yeah, think about coworkers who help each other out.
Okay. Or neighbors who do favors for each other.
Exactly. It's about what each person can get out of the relationship.
It's mutually beneficial.
Right. Those friendships can be helpful, even fun sometimes. But Aristotle didn't think they were the most fulfilling.
Okay, what about friendships of pleasure? Those sound more fun.
They are! These are the friends you have a good time with.
The ones you share hobbies with.
Exactly. You laugh together, you enjoy each other's company.
Those are important too.
Oh, for sure. They bring joy into our lives. But for Aristotle, the best kind of friendship,
The best kind.
the one that really helps us live a good life, that's the friendship of virtue.
Friendship of virtue. That sounds pretty serious.
It's based on deep respect,
Okay.
admiration,
Right.
a shared commitment to living a good life.
So these are the friends who push you to be better.
They hold you accountable.
They inspire you.
Exactly. Think of it like this. In a friendship of utility, the bond fades when you're no longer useful to each other.
Makes sense.
In a friendship of pleasure, it might end when you're no longer having fun together.
Right. But what about friendships of virtue?
Those get stronger over time because each friend is helping the other become a better person.
Wow. But those sound really hard to find. It takes a lot of work to build that kind of relationship.
It does. It takes time and effort. And honestly, it's not always easy.
Right. You have to be vulnerable.
Aristotle said true friends stick with each other through thick and thin. They're not afraid to give you tough love.
They want what's best for you.
Exactly. It's a high bar. It makes you think about your own friendships, doesn't it?
It really does. What kind of friend am I?
Yeah. And it reminds us that these kinds of friendships are worth the effort.
They make our lives better?
They help us grow. They help us live more fulfilling lives. So are friendships of virtue like the ultimate kind of friendship?
The gold standard, you mean?
You could say that. They nourish our souls. They help us become the best versions of ourselves.
I like that. It's like having a personal cheering section that's also invested in your growth. It's way more than just having fun together.
Exactly. Now, ready to move on to another part of Aristotle's philosophy.
Sure. What else do you have to say?
Well, we've talked about reason, friendship, right?
Right.
But he also had some interesting ideas about virtue.
Virtue. That sounds kind of old-fashioned.
Maybe. But it was important to Aristotle. For him, virtues were character traits that helped us live well and flourish.
So things like courage and honesty.
Yes, generosity, justice, self-control.
So it's about being a good person, basically.
It's more than just being nice. It's about actively developing those qualities for yourself and for society.
Right, and he thought these virtues are things we develop over time,
Exactly. We're not born with them. We have to practice them.
like learning a new skill.
Exactly. The more we practice being honest, courageous, the more those virtues become part of who we are.
So it's a lifelong process.
It's about constantly trying to be better,
Yeah.
to live according to your values.
And that was the core of his ethics.
Yes. He believed that by developing these virtues, we make our own lives better. And we also make our communities better.
It all ties back to that idea that we talked about before. We flourish as individuals when our communities flourish.
Exactly. It brings us full circle back to eudaimonia, that state of living well. For Aristotle, developing virtue was a key part of that.
It's the path to a meaningful life.
A fulfilling life.
It's amazing how much his ideas from thousands of years ago still apply to us today.
I know, right? It's like he's giving us a guidebook for how to live a good life.
So we've talked about Aristotle's life, his ideas about happiness, friendship, virtue. We covered a lot. But there's still so much more to explore.
There is. We've barely scratched the surface of his work. But that's a good thing.
How so?
It means there's a whole world of insights waiting to be discovered. And that's what we'll do in the next part of our deep dive. So stick with us.
Wow, we've really gone deep on Aristotle, haven't we?
Yeah, it's amazing how relevant his ideas still are.
From telos to friendship to virtue. It's a lot to take in.
It really is a lot.
Sometimes I get a little overwhelmed, trying to wrap my head around all this philosophy.
I get it. It's like, where do you even begin?
Exactly. So for our listeners who want to try applying some of Aristotle's ideas to their own lives,
Yeah.
what would you say is like the most important thing to remember?
The most important. I'd say it's the focus on reason.
Reason.
Aristotle believed that using our reason is what makes us human,
Right. Sets us apart.
and that using our reason is the key to happiness.
So it's not about just going with our gut feeling,
Not just gut feeling, it's about thinking things through,
making conscious choices,
examining our beliefs, weighing different perspectives.
so being more mindful in our daily lives.
Exactly. Asking ourselves why we do the things we do.
Are our actions helping us live a good life?
A meaningful life.
Yeah.
Remember, for Aristotle, happiness wasn't just about feeling good.
Right. It was more than just a feeling.
It was about eudaimonia, flourishing, living up to your full potential. And that means using your reason.
To make choices that are good for us.
And good for our communities. It's not just about chasing pleasure or avoiding pain.
There's more to it than that.
It's about making choices that align with your values.
Contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Developing those virtues we talked about. Courage, honesty, generosity, all those things. It's about striving to be your best self.
Sounds like a challenge.
It is a challenge,
Yeah.
but it's a worthwhile one. And even though Aristotle lived so long ago, his message is still powerful today. We can all learn from him.
We're all on this journey. Yeah.
Exactly. The journey of life. It's about learning and growing and always striving for something better.
Well said. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of Aristotle.
A fascinating world.
It really is. And for our listeners, I'll leave you with this. If living well is about more than just quick bursts of happiness, what are some ways you can use your reason?
How can you make choices that lead to a more fulfilling life?
Think about it. What steps can you take today to move closer to that eudaimonia that Aristotle talked about?
It's worth reflecting on. And as Aristotle himself might have said, the unexamined life is not worth living.
So keep asking questions, deep divers. Keep learning. And keep striving to make your life the best it can be. Thanks for joining us. Until next time.